That's a fundamental legal tenet. It's non-disputable.
The $1 trillion figure is based on...
Well, if you take a look, and what I sat down is I tried to do a business valuation on what the tribe would hold if it were a business. So I took all the components, the aquifers, rivers, the rights for hunting and fishing, etc., folded them into a business, and then said if I was some big mogul and going to chop it up and sell it off, what would it be worth? And that's how we arrived at the figure. It was actually closer to $2 trillion.
You're settling for half price.
Well, it's a bargain.
It's a recession.
Yeah, we're being kind. It's the reality is it is viable. If you were to go out and buy an aquifer, let alone the one that sits underneath the Wharton State Forest, that aquifer is the largest, purest on the eastern seaboard and feeds 4 states. The state of New Jersey has been just piping that water out, selling it. They've never made any type of payment to the tribe for doing that, and these rights remain vested in us. The only person that can cancel out a treaty, or the only entity, is the Congress of the United States. The Congress of the United States has never, ever canceled any of our rights, and the courts have ruled that you cannot even have an ambiguous leaning towards it. It has to be a specific intent for Congress to cancel out. They've never done it. We have a very small police department, but these gentlemen are allowed to carry armed on planes because our treaty rights are still in effect. Now, our traditions in the past have always precluded us from going through the courts and stepping up. We have a kind of a concept of, you know, the Dutch came and left, the French came and left, the English came and left. We'll just go up to the mountain and wait, and this will all sort itself out. However, with the election of me to the position of chairman, I'm not traditional. By training, I'm a financial advisor and a stockbroker, so I looked at them and said, yeah, we need to litigate. So we spent 6 months going back and forth to Trenton, spending hours in front of the commission, presenting documents from Seton Hall, University of Chicago, Smithsonian, Library of Congress, just a plethora of information, putting it into the hands of the Attorney General's office, putting it into personal representatives and the Chief of Staff for the Secretary of State. It wouldn't talk. You can't go to state court because it's a federal question. The actions of removing our people from the land illegally have had a genocidal effect on us. We need our land back. If you look at the Citizenship Act of 24, American Indians were not citizens of this country. So when you take the land away and you're not a citizen, you have no legal standing before the courts or anybody. You are landless, and you're without a country, and you're without a home. That's what happened to our people in this state. And the state of New Jersey, under the direction of its current governor and Secretary of State, have systematically refused to talk to us. So we have filed charges under the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, and we are charging the governor with genocide and crimes against humanity for systematically trying to wipe our people out. And that is a case that, if you take a look at the underlying judicial precedent, requires the U.S. District Court, after they read the brief and the complaint, to immediately notify the appellate court, because we've requested a 3-judge panel under the law, and the only 3-judge panel resides at the U.S. Court of Appeals.
Philadelphia.
So we will go from here immediately to the appellate court, because it's required that it's done with due speed and we be given the next available calendar date. Because it's the commission of an act of genocide, etc., that involves a state official, which makes it a federal question on top of it.
Do you have are you acting as the attorney? Do you have an attorney? What's the...
No, I will argue the case.
You will do
for
it.
our tribe, yes.
Okay. And was your cell phone on that card by any chance?
The tribal office is.
Okay. Do you have a cell that you can share with me?
And me.
2-shot Thompson.
No, the tribal office will be fine.
Okay. You always.
Yeah,
it's
they don't
staff.
like me to carry cell phones around too much.
What is,
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm doing 2-shot. Let me just talk to each other.
I think I have it.
So you would anticipate that the appeals court that you would be before the appeals court in the next few weeks or so?
It's required by law.
Right.
The minute, if you look at the front of the brief.
Did you do this brief?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I've got 1,200 man-hours into this brief. And I just finished it at 5 this morning, finished printing. But if you look here on the face page, we've requested a 3-judge court.
Yeah.
It has to be heard because it involves the governor, and we've actually called into question, based upon the ratification of the state of New Jersey's Constitution, we've called into question the legislative and congressional districts.
Okay, thank you.
They shouldn't exist.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.